Welcome to Healthy Vegan Living. My name is Gary. Have you noticed how cold it is everywhere? Even in California. People having mitts on, scarves on, 2 or 3 coats, maybe 2 or 3 sweaters. I mean, how can we live in this? So what I've decided to do is make a grapefruit cranberry bread. Come and see how it turns out. Welcome to Healthy Vegan Living, a whole food, plant-based lifestyle. And now what I'm doing is an unusual grapefruit bread with a lot less sugar. Now, if you'd like the sweetness of bread, if your bread needs to be sweet, instead of using fresh cranberries like I'm using here, use the canned cranberries. You only need a 1/4 cup, but that way you'll be used to that sugary texture that you like, the taste that you like. Okay, this is a real fun, easy bread to make. It's a quick bread. It goes in the oven for about an hour, comes out of the oven. I have to make some icing for it to make it look pretty. You know, all the Christmas stuff. All right, so let's get started. All right, so you need organic cane sugar. You could get away with using 1 3/4 of just this all-purpose flour, but I'm gonna split it in half with bread flour. You're gonna use double acting baking powder. I use Glover Girl that you can get at Sam's Club. Baking soda, which I get at Sprouts, and Himalayan sea salt, which I also get at Sam's Club. For our family, Sam's Club works better, but Costco is right across the street. So in an emergency, I run over there. Okay, so these are the dry ingredients. White ingredients, fairly simple, almost identical to the other breads. You need some kind of butter here. This is Earth Balanced Vegan Original Butter. You'll need 2 flax eggs, which will be made with flaxseed meal and 6 tablespoons of water. You'll need grapefruit juice. I decided instead of buying it out of a box or a can or whatever, I was gonna juice it myself. And you're gonna need some fresh cranberries. Okay, so what we're doing now is we're mixing the ingredients in this larger bowl. Starting to get it. All right, so what first we're gonna use is 1 cup. We're putting in a cup of all-purpose flour. And then we're using 3/4 cup of bread flour, mostly because the bag is broken on the bottom. It looked like it was dropped at the store and I didn't notice it. But oh well, you know. Okay, there's the flour. Next we're going to use 1 teaspoon of baking powder. Back on that. And then we're going to use 1/2 teaspoon of baking soda. Then we're going to use the same amount of pink Himalayan sea salt, 1/2 teaspoon. Yeah, 3/4 of a cup of cane sugar. Now the reason, so I got this outlined at Ocean Spray. Maybe adding a 1/4 cup of sugar might help. All right, so that takes care of the dry ingredients. This is the wet ingredients and it's gonna go into this bowl eventually. So the first thing we're gonna do is make the flaxseed meal because that takes about 5 minutes to set. So I've already pulled out in here 2 tablespoons of flaxseed meal. And here I have water, warm water, and I'm gonna put 6 tablespoons 6. You can just get rid of that. So then you just give it a quick stir. You leave it alone. It will congeal. It'll be your binder. And if that doesn't work for you, if you don't like using flaxseed, you don't like that look in your pies or in your cakes, you you can use arrowroot. There are other thickeners that you can use. Okay, the next one we need to do is you need your butter, and I melted this in the microwave, so it's all ready to go. So we're going to pour the butter in. This is half a cup of whole berries. We're going to see what we get out of it. I'm going to pulse that, turn on the power. When they're off season, these cranberries are like white or like a light gray color with the butter. Okay, next we need half a cup of grapefruit juice. But this doesn't have preservatives. See? Almost 2 grapefruits, and then this is for the cook. Delicious. Now we're going to put our flax egg in. It just basically slides out. Okay, so now we're putting the wet ingredients into the grindings. So I have combined everything in the wet ingredient, including the cranberries. So I like to turn this bowl. Now I'm going to bring the camera right here so you can see how I do it. Afterwards, we'll put the parchment paper into this metal loaf pan. Okay, so I started off with a small spatula, but eventually I got a big one. After a while you start doing these, you start realizing that you need multiple. So you see, it's got a little bit of time. And you can almost pick it up. Oh, that tastes good. All right. Next thing you do, get a much bigger piece of parchment paper. And then, you saw that, it just came out. So we're going to take a huge piece and put it back in. Okay, and then I'm just using this spatula to flatten it down. After a while you make a few of these. You see, now I could have used a little bit more paper over here, a little less over here. It's a matter of, you keep working at it, you learn your techniques. What works, what doesn't work. And don't worry that it's slightly not perfect. You're going to cover it up with icing anyway. Alright, so don't forget to set your oven. So bake, you want to make sure that your cake goes in a preheated oven. Okay, so it just buzzed, 350 degrees, and we're going to put it in. It will be ready in 1 hour. Meanwhile, I'm going to be making the icing. Okay, so to make the frosting, you have to have powdered sugar. I don't have any powdered sugar, so I'm going to make my own. So this is basically a coffee grinder, and it doesn't take long. And that's basically it. See? Powdered sugar. Okay, that's it. The next thing you have to add is, now if you want to follow the starch solution diet, use applesauce. The butter is just to make it creamier. Really did not need any more than that. Put everything in this. Okay. And we're not going to get that on the side there. We're just going to get what's inside of the 2-cup measuring. Yeah, it's perfect. So this is for my wife and some of our family, and they would like to have a more buttery flavor. They're not going to get dairy butter, so I made a substitution, this earth balanced organic vegan butter. All right, the next thing you need is a tablespoon of almond milk. Okay, that's a tablespoon. Now the thing that you keep separate, and you need to have a half teaspoon of vanilla extract. So I bought this extract. It's really good quality stuff. It just has a broken cap. All right. And mixer. And I'm probably going to have to get some more almond milk. What a lot of my friends do is just buy the icing at the store. But then you know it's not vegan because it's going to have white sugar in it. Okay, so we'll start this at a slow setting. First, let me take a look at it. Use a spatula, get this done. All right, I'm gonna clean up and I'm gonna see you when the cake is ready. So I took a look at the cake, the cranberry grapefruit cake, and it looks quite good. And it still has 17 more minutes, and I like the way the top is. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to put a piece of aluminum foil over the top so it doesn't get too cooked. Just like that. The paper's moving it up, but I think it'll work. Okay, so the alarm just rang. And see, it's a beautiful color. Nice wall. Okay, so the toothpick method works this way. You take a toothpick, like so, and then you stick it down the center, all the way down as far as you can, and you pull it out. And if the toothpick is clean, like this one is, your bread is finished. So next what you do is you take your pan, I'm going to stick it here, and that's why you take the wings of the paper, you pick up your bread right out of the pan. That way it doesn't continue cooking in the pan, which is hot. Put that in a safe place. And some people, what they like to do, and I do the same thing, you want to peel your bread off the paper, and you can see this is a perfect loaf, and you throw this away. Now it takes about, I like to leave it on the counter for 30 minutes, and then that way, and I like to put it back into the fridge for another 30 minutes, so another hour from now, and then you would add your sugary icing on the top. So we'll see you in about an hour. It would have been easier if it was a little looser. I stuck it in the fridge while the bread was drying, cooling. And of course, it tightened up. So, we add the loaf. Look at that. Look at that look. See that? That's what I'm talking about, cranberry bread. And it's got a little bit, not too much, just a little bit, but you could always put more. You could always, so I'm going to take a bite. So it's got a nice crust, and the interior is really nice and soft. All right, so this is basically it. You can see me wrap it up on the way out. Thanks a lot for watching it. This was definitely a win. I think it's the best bread I've come up with. Maybe it's because I like crust, a really crust on the outside. I just realized I didn't take a picture of the bread. That wasn't too smart. Oh well. You win some, you lose some.